You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 113 of the Battered Heat Fans Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Goodon. Alongside me, as always, Mr. Daniel Solana. How are you doing, sir?
We made it past 112. 112 is a great music group. I don't know if you remember them, but we made it past 112.
We might be aging ourselves there.
Hey, it's all right, man. Everybody knows how old we are. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, we're supposed to start this stream. I saw somebody mentioning it earlier in the chat but we had some issues pop up. But we're here now, and we're ready to talk. What now? LeBron passed us by. That's fine. I'm done crying over that. I'm ready to look forward. We had an episode not too long ago where we compared.
I'm not crying. He doesn't want to be here. No problem.
Initially, I was a little bit. I was so excited. I was so excited at the aspect of having LeBron here. But again, I'm over it. It's done. I'm moving on now. A couple of weeks ago, we had an episode where we said option A or option B. And if you had to pick which one you choose, and we both chose LeBron. But option A was LeBron. Option B was DeMar DeRozan and Klay Thompson, because we felt like that was probably option B. So option A is out the window. Option B, my understanding, is still a possibility. DeMar DeRozan, my understanding is that there's been communication there. And Klay Thompson, he's still not available. But everybody's saying that he's hanging out with some Heat players right now. He's working out with them, hanging out with them, whatever they're doing. And they have 16 men on the roster in Dallas right now. So somebody needs to go. A lot of people are saying that's a real possibility. And we'll start with those two players, I guess. I'm okay with those options. Honestly, DeMar DeRozan, I wish he had an outside shot. That's the one thing that kills me about DeMar DeRozan. He's a guaranteed bucket. He'll get you 18 to 22 a game. That's fine. I just wish he had an outside shot. He doesn't. I would prefer a Zach LaVine, but again, kind of like Klay Thompson, you have to hope for a buyout. So that's not even an option. So how do you feel about DeMar DeRozan and Klay Thompson? And we'll start with those two.
Let's start with DeMar, right? I think DeRozan gives you buckets, but he doesn't give you oxygen. And with Giannis and Bam, oxygen means shooting, right? So that's where Klay Thompson kind of comes in. Now, DeMar DeRozan, like you said, he can get you 18 to 20 a night. Last year, he averaged 18.4 points on almost 50% shooting. And why is that important, Danny? It's very important because one of the things we've talked about over the last 3 or 4 streams has been the Heat need a closer. And this is a person that the Heat could look to in those clutch situations to be the closer, especially with the mid-range game. And that's why I think he would be an interesting fit here. Now, I do think that if he comes, he'll have to accept a role coming off the bench in order for the starting lineup to be somewhat balanced. So, if he would be okay coming off the bench and then leading that second unit and then possibly closing games out with the top 5 in the roster, I think he would be a fantastic fit, especially if you can get him on a really cheap contract. Now, Klay Thompson, Klay is by far the cleanest basketball fit that the Heat could get. The Heat have targeted him. They've done it before. He shot 38% from 3 last season, which is fantastic. And he's 4th all-time in made threes in the history of the NBA. So, look, he's owed $17.2 million. He's going to have to give up a big chunk of that money. But if he's bought out, Miami, like we talked about yesterday, they could offer him around $7 million, which would be interesting. Now, what is it going to take to get him? It's going to take a little bit of patience from us. It's going to take Klay to accept a little less money. And then Dallas is eventually going to have to decide on the buyout rather than dragging it out and trying to get a trade for him. But the key here is Klay, if the Heat can get him, he doesn't need to be prime Klay. He just needs to be guarded like prime Klay. And that alone changes the spacing for Giannis and for Bam. So, look, both of those guys should be on top of the Heat's list, and they should be going after them right now.
Real quick, first they're gonna kill you about saying Giannis instead of Giannis, because I got it for a while. Okay. Second, the Klay Thompson thing. He shot 38%, and I'd have to go back to look at those the breakdowns, but I'm pretty sure a lot of those weren't open threes. No. The amount of open threes he's gonna get off of Giannis and Bam is, I could see him shooting over 40%, which I don't know if he's done since he left Golden State. So I can see that. And money-wise, the buyout becomes a lot more believable, because when we were talking about getting LeBron and Klay coming over, LeBron was going to take a chunk of that money that we had left. So Klay would just have to take the pay cut, just to buy out and come over. Now he has some money to work with, right? All right, you figure out that buyout with Dallas, and then we'll give you a chunk of it back with what we got left. So I definitely think Klay is on the table. And then the DeMar DeRozan thing, what kills me about that, could you imagine Giannis, Bam, Davion Mitchell, which is a good shooter, but he just doesn't shoot enough, and DeMar DeRozan on the court together? Like, you ain't got no outside shooting, man. And that's what kills me about the whole DeMar DeRozan thing. I think that's what kills me about the fit. I think I see him filling more, like you said, that 6-man role, and being a closer, right? Just because you don't start the game doesn't mean you don't finish the game. And I could definitely see him being the closer, because that is something that he's always done, and I could definitely like that.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that the Heat have used in the past, right? Play a guy off the bench and then have him close games out. It's something that we've seen Spo do in the past with certain lineups. And it's something that that Spo is going to be, kind of studying all season and using the analytics to his benefit in order to get the best 5 players out on the floor at all times, the best combinations. That's something that we know that Spo is very good about. So I'd be excited about those two. Obviously, there's a lot of other names that are out there on the free agent market. We know, and we were talking about this before we came on, KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, decided to follow BITCH out over to Philadelphia. So he's off the board, but there's a few other guys that have been rumored. Obviously, Bradley Beal is one of them. Buddy Hield, Danny, is another one who could be a 3-point shooter. D'Angelo Russell has been rumored, Russell Westbrook. But then you have kind of like the tier 2 and tier 3 free agents, like a Gabe Vincent or a Campaign, somebody who played on OKC last year, maybe an Aaron Holiday. You have the tier 2, shooters, as in Seth Curry, Doug McDermott, maybe a Nick Batum. But there are a lot of options still out there on the free agent market, Danny. I don't think the Heat need to hurry. I think they need to find the right players and not just sign whoever.
Okay, well, let's get into him real quick. Bobby Finstock, shout out to him. He's on the show right now. I just want to make sure I give him a shout out. East 10th Street Boys. They're gonna do a live show later. They're always talking all things Miami and Miami Heat, so make sure you check them out. There's only 3 roster spots open, and I think because you have to be prepared for a possible buyout closer to training camp, you don't fill all 3. You fill 2 of them. So I think that's where we're at, and everything I'm hearing, Klay Thompson, I think that they're kind of holding on to possibly getting him. So if that's one of them, we only have 1 open spot. Are you filling that in with DeMar DeRozan? Or are you trying to get a big man? Because like if you look at this roster, like are you looking at Vlad Golden as the only true big man? Because I know Giannis is a big man, but like he doesn't play like that. He's not necessarily your prototypical big man, especially off the bench. So would you go after a big man, or would you just go after a shooter? Because I think we only have 1 roster spot to work with if we're counting on Klay Thompson coming over here at some point, because I think that's what they're banking on.
Look, man, I honestly think, and one of the big things coming into this offseason, especially with the Heat getting Giannis, has been, hey, they need shooting. But I kind of disagree. I think the Heat needs.
I think they have shooting.
Correct. I think the Heat needs a big man, and that's the one market which I don't think is as as filled in terms of with good free agents as maybe a swingman or a guard. I think there's a lot more options in that pool than there are for big men. Now, one of our listeners commented a little bit earlier talking about Clint Capella, that he could be possibly an option getting bought out and coming off the bench. I don't mind that. And I think when you start looking at all the different free agent options that are out there for centers, and, on my list, I have Nick Richards, Bismack Biyombo, Tony Bradley, Kevin Love, Drew Eubanks, Kelly Olynyk.
Would you bring Kevin Love back?
No.
I wouldn't bring Kevin Love back.
They're attractive to me. And I just don't – I would prefer a Clint Capella style or somebody like that, because I really do think that the Heat need like somebody who can bang down there and get some boards.
Well, I'm going to throw something out there, and the chances of it happening are probably 0.01, but I'm going to put it out there just in case, just to hear what you think. Because James Harden is currently a free agent, if he were to mess around and say, you know what, I just kind of want to ring chase like LeBron, and he offers himself to Miami, would you take him? Again, this isn't going to happen. I just noticed that he's still a free agent because he hasn't agreed to go back yet.
You don't even have to finish. Absolutely
No.
not. I don't want that guy. I don't even want him to play in Orlando. Like, I don't want him to be that close in terms of proximity to Miami, because I feel like if he were to play in Orlando, for some reason, we would get infected with his with his style of player, with whatever it is that he infects franchises with. So I don't even want him to play in the state of Florida. Send him off to the West Coast, and let's continue. And I think Jonas Valanciunas, like Miami Sports here says, I think Jonas Valanciunas is still available, and he would be a really good option for the Heat. But I read that he was going to go and play in Europe. That's what I read.
Yeah, I don't see him on this list. Well, look, I think that going big man is important. I think the shooting aspect, although I would love, when we talk about a playmaking wing, I would love it to be a playmaking wing that can hit a three. That's my one downfall on DeMar. Zach LaVine, even though he doesn't defend for his life, I think would be a much better fit. But that's a pipe dream at this point, because if he gets bought out, it'll probably be close to the training camp, and that's if it even happens. So I don't think Zach LaVine is on anyone's radar. I think it is Klay Thompson, which I really do believe is going to happen at some point. And then that other spot, man, I don't know. I'm hoping for big man. Clint Capella is interesting. But is Clint Capella available?
Oh, dude. So I just researched. Jonas Valanciunas became a free agent on July 8th, and he subsequently signed a multi-year contract with Zalgiris Kaunas of the EuroLeague. So he is no longer a free agent. Let me see Clint Capella's free agent status.
I don't know what
up here, but Clint Capella is currently not a free agent. He's under contract with the Houston Rockets through the 27-28 season. He's owed 3 years, roughly $21 million. So his salary is about $7 million this year, but he could be an option for a buyout. I mean, I don't know. I would need a bit more research, but Houston is fighting for a championship. They have KD, so I really doubt that they'll let him go.
So yeah, look, from what I see that's available, obviously nothing's gonna jump out at you. I think if you're looking for more shooting, which I don't think that they are, Seth Curry I think is a good option. And off the board that wasn't in the NBA at all, I think Spencer Dinwiddie, like I've told you a few times, I think he is a playmaking point guard that can play the two guard. He's long, he plays those passing lanes, he can shoot. I think he would be an undercover signing if he were to come back from overseas, which I know that nobody's really mentioned that he's even looking into that aspect. And then I saw a lot of people on social media talking about how we need a bucket. Cam Thomas is still out there.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're talking
He's
about
a bucket.
You're talking about the same guy that got released by the Nets
Milwaukee?
and then got released by Milwaukee after. No, absolutely not. Don't want anything to do with him. Look,
if he comes on a minimum contract and you know he can drop 40 whenever asked to, you wouldn't take him on a minimum?
Nope. I don't want him. Not even. I wouldn't even want him if he paid the Heat to come here. Now, there is a player who has been, let's say, he's been all over social media saying that many people have asked him when he's coming back to the Heat, and that's EuroLeague star Kendrick Nunn. Is that somebody that you would want to bring?
No, I disliked him even when he was on here. But my reasons are off the court, and some people may think that I'm stupid for it. But this is just how my train of thought. I never liked his look. When you start hitting women, you're off the board for me. I don't want to cheer for you.
He hit a woman?
Yeah, and then he threw boiling water on her afterwards.
Don't bring him.
That was before he got to Miami. But I remember after that, I don't know. And again, some people are like, everybody needs a second chance, and that's fine. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but after that kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth with so no. But I know. I heard he's been balling overseas.
Yeah, man, he's been a star over in the EuroLeague, but he threw it out on Twitter the other day. He's like, "Hey, I have 2 or 3 people that are asking me per day when I'm coming back. Let's make it happen or something." And it's just kind of funny. I was listening to Hawkman and Crowder yesterday, and they made fun of it as well. And Hawkman actually mentioned, he's like, I wonder if it's the same 3 dudes that are asking him every day. Like, they were making kind of fun of him. Like, maybe he goes into Publix to go get a sandwich, and it's the same deli guy that sees him every day, and he counts that guy as one for his every 3 guys that say it every day. So,
I mean, it's quite possible, because I forgot that the guy was even around. Where was he? Was he playing in China?
No, he was playing in Europe.
Oh, he was in Europe?
Yeah, he was one of the all-stars of the EuroLeague this year.
Yeah, no, I know. I've seen on social media here and there about how he's been playing well over there.
Yeah,
I personally wouldn't want him back, but that's just me.
I think he was on Panathinaikos over in Greece after he played with the Lakers here and all that. But he earned all EuroLeague first team in his debut in 2023-24. He claimed the EuroLeague MVP award in 24-25. So he's balling. And if you need a bucket and you need some
I'll take Cam Thomas over him, to be honest with you.
I would.
I don't know. Like I said, that leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I wouldn't want him back. I'd rather have Cam Thomas. Hope for a buyout for Zach LaVine and go get him, said Travio Marshall.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I still don't think that.
He dropped like 31 on us this year in the first half. Like he can shoot, he can create off the dribble. Like he
has those games though where he does shoot, but he also has those duds where he goes 1 for 7, 1 for 8 on threes and puts up 8 points.
Nah, I would take Zach LaVine in a heartbeat. 3-point percentage. 2 years ago, he shot 45%. Jesus. From 3, last year he shot 39%. I think Zach LaVine would be a big hit. But again, we have to hope that he gets bought out, which is why I really do believe that they're not going to fill those 3 roster spots that are open.
No,
I think they're only going to fill in 2.
I agree. And also they'll save some of that money to sign somebody, as we get into the season.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, I do think Klay Thompson, I heard Ethan Skolnick talking about it. He said that he thinks that is a good possibility it happens. I think Klay Thompson is going to happen, which I think is going to be great. Now, if he comes, do you make Klay a starter and move Tim Hardaway Jr. to the bench, or do you keep Timmy in the starting lineup and move Klay to the bench because Klay is a little older at this point?
I don't know, man. That's actually a really, really good question, man. I think personally, you continue to have Tim Hardaway Jr. in the lineup just because I think he's a little bit more athletic. And defensively, he gives you a little bit more than maybe a Klay Thompson, at this stage in his career. But I think, something that Spo has kind of proven over the years.
I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick.
Yeah.
You have 4. Davion, I think Davion's an elite, like almost borderline elite defenders with Bam, Giannis, Andrew Wiggins, and Davion. You can have a weak defender out there and they'll cover up for him.
I think so. I think so. But again, I think it's going to, and what I was going to get to is I think Spo has proven over the last few years that it doesn't really matter who starts. He's going to change starting lineups, many times throughout the season to try to find the right match. So if we were heading into opening week this week, and let's say DeMar DeRozan's on the team, Klay Thompson's on the team, as well as everybody else, my starting lineup today would still be Davion, Tim, Drew, Giannis, and Bam. That would be my starting 5. I would bring Klay and DeMar DeRozan off the bench. I believe Klay would give the spacing that you need for that second unit, and then you can kind of stagger them as well. Like leave Klay in with the starting unit, maybe at the end of the first half. Maybe he's a guy that you want to finish games as well. I mean, it's all going to depend on who the matchups are. And Spo has shown that he's capable of making these types of decisions, on the fly during games. I mean, he's a fantastic coach. So I put all my trust in him. And I honestly think that, with those guys on the roster, we are championship material, man. I know a lot of people are saying that the Heat are 3, 4, 5 seed, without LeBron and all that. But I honestly think that if you can get these guys, maybe a DeMar DeRozan, a Klay Thompson, and sign a good backup center, I think the Heat are definitely in the 1, 2, 3 conversation.
I think I would put Klay as a starter. More than anything, I think he might be a better shooter than Tim Hardaway Jr. I haven't looked at the statistics, but career-wise, we know, right? He's one of the greatest shooters of all time. And also, Tim Hardaway Jr. is accustomed to coming off the bench. Again, he was the runner-up for 6th Man of the Year last year, or in the top the final 3. He was one of the finalists. So he's comfortable in that position. He can come and produce. That's nothing new to him. So I think that would work out for him. I like the thought of Klay Thompson starting, and then Timmy coming off the bench with a DeMar DeRozan. And let me tell you something. That's an underrated offseason because everybody's looking at Giannis. If you get land a Giannis, a Klay Thompson, and a DeMar DeRozan outside of Philly, that's the best offseason in the league, right? But I mean, you can't compare it to Philly, right? Because when Philly ended their season, they got eliminated. And then imagine telling them, like, hey, you just got eliminated. But guess what? In a couple of weeks, you're going to have Jaylen Brown and LeBron James. That's wild what Philadelphia did. I don't know how they pull that off. But the Miami Heat, sneaky good offseason. The big splash with Giannis and then just getting a DeMar and a Klay, that would be huge, I think.
I agree, man. I agree. It would be huge. I mean, it just sucks because we're kind of in a holding pattern now, right? We're kind of waiting to see what the next domino is going to be. Obviously, we know that LeBron James was the biggest domino in NBA free agency, and now we're kind of waiting. Now everything that's coming out in terms of rumors and all that is linking Miami and DeMar DeRozan, and it seems like that's going to be the next signing for the Heat. And like you said, we're going to have to wait for Klay Thompson probably closer to the season for him to reach a buyout with Dallas. We know that Dallas would much rather trade. But Danny, one thing we've talked about and we've kind of thrown out there, do you think that maybe the Heat could acquire Kyrie Irving and
they won't have what
Klay
it takes to
Thompson
get him?
for a pack? You don't think so? You don't think maybe like a Davion Mitchell and Nikola Jovic and a first-round pick would be able to get something like that?
Money-wise, you can't. Kyrie's making like $40 million a year. You'd have to trade like Andrew Wiggins and somebody else.
I'm down.
Would you trade Andrew Wiggins for Kyrie Irving coming off of a torn ACL?
I don't know, man. I think I'd have to see him first in preseason, see what he looks like. But
I wouldn't do it. I mean, look, Kyrie, very fun player to watch. I think he has the best bag, as they say, as far as scoring goes. I wouldn't do it though. Although him with two big men like that, Giannis and Bam, that would be crazy for him. He's never had anything like that. Oh, and I keep forgetting about Bobby Portis. Yes, that's right. Bobby Portis also. I forgot to mention him with Giannis, Klay, and DeMar. I think Bobby Portis might be the most underrated pickup, period. Like, name me a better outside shooting big man that was available this offseason. Like, we got him. So I think that's very under. Now, I'll end it with this. The Eastern Conference is an absolute monster all of a sudden. Like, thank God we got Giannis, because when we were worried that we might not land Giannis, right now we would be in big trouble. Because when you look at this Eastern Conference, like, it is stacked. Detroit, we already knew they finally made moves and they were finally good. The Boston Celtics, we'll see what they do. They have a solid roster even without Jaylen Brown. The Knicks are the defending champs. That's fine. Cleveland Cavaliers, again, another good squad. The Toronto Raptors, after all this investigation's done, they might end up with Kawhi and a solid roster. You got Atlanta, which finally made the come up with all their young players. They have a nice little young core. You got the Sixers, which are obviously the favorites all of a sudden. You got us, the Miami Heat. You have the Indiana Pacers, which are now going to have Tyrese Halliburton back. You got the Washington Wizards, which have the number one pick in AG DeBonsa. You got Trey Young. You got Anthony Davis. You got Anthony Sarr. So they have like a nice little team also. It's like 10 teams deep in the Eastern Conference. And then you have the Young Bucks, which are the Magic, the Hornets. Those are the young up-and-coming teams. There's only like 3 teams that I can see. And even the Bulls got better, right? With Norman Powell. They got Nick Claxton. But I don't see them being a threat at all. There's only like 2 teams here on the Eastern Conference that I see that are just rebuilding. And that's the Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets. That's it. Everybody else is fighting for a playoff spot. It's crazy, the Eastern Conference this year.
Yeah, it is. It is. The Eastern Conference is wild, man. Absolutely wild. I was looking at all the teams and basically like players that are going to be coming back. You look at Indiana, with Halliburton and Siakam. They made it to the finals a couple years ago, and Halliburton, has that injury, but he's coming back. So how are they going to react? You have Detroit, who won 60 games last year, who might not even make the playoffs this year if things don't go right. Yeah. No, but I'm just saying, like, look at all these teams, Danny, right? You look at Toronto possibly with getting Kawhi. You look at Philly now. You look at New York. You look at even Boston. What are they going to do this year? And you start looking at the whole Eastern Conference, and you start realizing, hey, some of these teams are not going to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, there are some that might not. And most people, I'm sure, would point to a team like the Wizards possibly not making it. The Hornets, that young core, had a nice run with the Hawks. maybe them, because the other teams look so stacked. It's wild. But when I look at this entire Eastern Conference, I was trying to do this in my head real quick. In the entire Eastern Conference, who is the best player in the Eastern Conference? Individual player.
Giannis
I think it's
Antetokounmpo.
Giannis. I think so. I can't see a player that's better in the Eastern Conference. I don't know. Nick fans will say Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is better than Giannis. He had a cute little run, but he's not better.
Philly fans would probably end up saying Jalen Brown, just because they're kind of soft. But there's nobody better in the Eastern Conference than Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Because when you talk about individual players and who the best players in the NBA are, people say Shea Alexander, you got Jokic, you got Luka, you got Wemby.
Yeah, but they're on the
They're
West.
all in the West Coast.
Yeah.
The best player in the Eastern Conference plays for the Miami Heat. That goes a long way.
The best big man in the East also plays for the Miami Heat. Just throwing it out there.
Bam Adebayo. Nobody else is putting up 83 points.
Nope. I haven't. Nobody's put up 80 points since Kobe did it. There's a reason that Bam is a bad guy, bro. He's a bad man.
All right. Any final words, Solana?
I'm so glad that we're done with the LeBron sweepstakes.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the rest of the dominoes to fall. I'm excited for this upcoming season. Man, we still have like 2 months till training camp, and I'm ready for the ball to get rolling. I'm ready.
Because the thing is, the next couple of weeks will still be exciting. Still waiting for the next dominoes to drop. But once like the first week of August comes around, the second week of August, it's kind of like a lull for like a month until everybody starts showing up. So
you know what I love, and you know what's getting me even more hyped is seeing all these Davion Mitchell videos of him. Did you see him kind of hiking in Europe the other day? I
love his
and with a basketball, dude. I love that guy.
I love his new jersey number, like the number 2. I don't know why I like it so much more than 45.
Oh, he changed numbers? I didn't even realize.
Yeah, he's rocking number 2 now.
That's great, man. 2, 6, or 2, 7, and 13. Love it.
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure out something mathematically with that, but not off the top of my head. All right. If you're listening on audio, appreciate you listening to the end. Please give 5 stars and a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe, and we will be back soon. I don't even know anymore because news drops, rumors drop, but we'll be back soon for the next one. So make sure you turn your notifications on. So until the next one, have a good one.